And that's really just the power of film.
It's true.
Yeah.
Did you know that that I guess when Refn and Tom Hardy met for the first time and they sat down to talk about starting the production, I guess it went horrible. And they didn't like each other at all.
Wow.
And it was so bad that Refn immediately he was looking to
Replace him.
Yeah, replace Hardy and
I think I do remember reading about this. I think he almost got Jason, right? Jason Statham.
Yeah, which would have
Yeah, that would have been awful. That would have just been like another action movie or whatever. I'm glad that didn't work out. Yeah, I think I remember reading about this now, but it's been a while. That's so funny. I'm glad it was Tom Hardy.
Yeah. Where was I? So the film basically launched Tom Hardy into the mainstream because right after he starred as Eames in Inception, and then of course he played Bane in Dark Knight Rises for Christopher Nolan. So I feel like right after Bronson, he became kind of like this household
crazy big star. Even now, he's just definitely a household name, and it's. It's really cool. That was like his first. Bronson was like the first film. I mean, I'm sure he was in smaller projects, but
he had some other stuff. But it was like the pusher kind of stuff, where it's not going to really reach too many people.
Yeah. But I'm glad, we got Bronson out of him before we got, Dark Knight Rises.
Yes. Give him a little, that underground piece that he needed, like his hard edge. Yeah, I guess. But intense movie, man.
Yep.
Visicolor forever.
Definitely.
All right. So Refn's next picture would take him into Scotland for a Viking tale known as 2009's Valhalla Rising. Once again, reuniting him with Mads Mikkelsen. And, of course, this one's another fucking banger, dude.
This one's crazy. Now, this one, I haven't been able to convince people like this is a good one.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. The Refn fans love it,
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't had the same success with Valhalla as I did with Bronson,
Bronson, because of the sheer...
Right.
How do you... Like, because Hardy's so charming... Even though he's this not completely out of his mind character, he has this sensibility where you can follow along, even though he's completely full of shit probably the entire time. So it's really weird. But Valhalla Rising, of course, because it's a lot slower pace and very weird. It's almost like trying to convince someone who is who likes Transformers, they're not going to go and appreciate 2001 the way that we would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not to sound too pretentious or anything.
Right. No, I get it. I get what you mean.
And I feel like Valhalla Rising is for, real cinema fans.
Yeah.
And that's going to kind of isolate it from a lot of other viewers, I guess, unfortunately.
Yeah, that one, I would say, of all his films, probably... the one that most people wouldn't get through entirely, just because of how slow it is. It is a really slow film.
It is.
But it's a great one too. I mean, it has different merits. It's not the same as Bronson. I think what I like most about him is that every film that we get from him is gonna up the ante in a way. And this one, he did that just in a different, he shot it in a different way than he did Bronson. It's structured differently.
Very experimental.
Yeah, super experimental. The cinematography is insane.
Yeah, but very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
Even with that opening and those fights that we get are just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
You're looking at a painting.
Yeah.
Practically.
Right. I feel like it's so funny because that movie is really violent. Just but the story, it's because it's set in, these guys are Vikings or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's heavily impacted by religion and fear, I would say, which are two really interesting. Like, anytime you make a film about religion and it's also horror,
Yeah.
you're gonna get what is it, Annabelle? You'll get Annabelle, and then you'll get Valhalla. So that's like the spectrum, and this one is really, it's completely, it's just mad, some of those sequences, especially like after they get off the boat, and everything is just like, it's like they're in hell.
Yeah,
that's what it is. I think that's exactly what it is. It's just like you're watching This Is Hell on screen.
Which is interesting because I feel like they set you up where you got these Viking dudes that are real, like, super savages.
Yeah.
Like, insane. And I know a lot of people had a problem with that because it's not your typical Viking perspective. And then they're trying to flee the Christian oppression of that time, and so it's kind of ironic that they take a wrong turn on the boat, and then they just end up in this entirely like new world,
right.
On uncharted territory, if you will, and then it just goes fucking haywire from there.
Right. And Mads is always on point. Anytime they're together. Yes. And it's funny, I've seen interviews too with the both of them, or even just like when they're on their own talking about each other. They're great like work partners. Like, they know exactly what they want from each other, but they're entirely different people outside of their projects. So like they wouldn't hang out with each other,
Oh, like, so it's a completely work-based relationship.
Yeah, and because they're just good. They're so good with each other. They know exactly what they're going for. They understand each other. But I think he said, like, all Nicolas wants to talk about is just like film, and then he just wants to like watch sports.
Okay.
So it's just like I totally understand. But it's great that we get this relationship because it's one of the strongest director-actor,
connections. I would totally agree. I think that it's like they were kind of born for each other in a way.
I hope we get to see them again together.
Yeah.
Working on a film together, because they are coming out in that video game, which is insane.
Oh yeah, that's
I never thought I would get that in a million years.
Yeah, Death Stranding is a spectacle, man, for sure. I can't. Very, very excited. I've been waiting so long for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't even know what. I saw. It's just, what even is that game? But I'm excited for it.
But you ordered that the fucking baby thing.
I
right?
did. Yeah, I had to. As soon as I knew everybody that was involved. I was like, oh, I need to get this game.
I don't blame you, man. I'm doing the same thing. Would you agree that this Valhalla Rising is probably his most experimental film at that point in his career since Fear X? Yeah,
I'd say of his entire filmography, those are the only two that are actually like experimental. Fear X and Valhalla. The others are more accessible.
Well, Only God Forgives kind of teeters that line.
Yeah, of course, I kind of forget about that. But it's not as wild as
it's still more like you can
Yeah, you can follow Only God Forgives, whereas the other two are like... But they're great. They're all great. We didn't speak too much on Fear X, but I think Fear X is a sleeper hit, for sure.
Yeah.
You can see all of his... That's when he had the budget to really do what he's known for now. Making it here, I think it might have been in Canada or something, but...
And that's probably his only PG-13 film.
It is, right? Yeah. And it's still,
pretty
it has that... Yeah,
pretty grim.
Right. Yeah. It has that kind of,
this hopelessness that he's very good at... he's so committed at developing his atmosphere. And he's just like a fucking master. He can... And that's why he's able to have Gosling where he doesn't talk whatsoever, and it still just works because
it's so good. He knows what he's doing. He knows as much as people don't you know, you don't have to like his movies, and you don't have to like him, because he is the most polarizing film director currently working, I would say. I don't think there's anybody else that is putting out work that's just so divisive. And yeah, it's just hard. I mean, it's not hard to explain, but you can't, like, he just knows exactly, like, when he wants to write it's gonna, you know, like in Bronson, that's great writing, you know, but he knows when he's, you know, when he's not giving a character so much dialogue, as much as Tom Hardy did, for example, you know, because he knows it just doesn't need it, and he's good, and he knows when he needs to do that. And I think most of his work now, I feel like, is that way. But yeah, I mean, this new series is going to be insane.
It is.
I don't even know what to expect, and I've been following him for so long. It's just like I'm gonna get through it just fine, but I'm scared for other people.
Is it? And it's a series, right? Not a mini series, so it's supposed to be continuing on for a while.
Hopefully. I mean, hopefully we'll see how it does. I mean, we'll see how people react to it. I definitely think there's going to be, you know, the diehards will love it. I guess I shouldn't say that, but they might not like it. But you know, his fans are going to like it. Some people are going to get into it. Some people are going to really hate it. It's just how his films are. Everything he makes is like that. Especially as of late, with Only God Forgives and Neon Demon. Both of those are just like completely divisive. Like, somebody will, of course, everybody, you know, who doesn't like Drive, but I still like, I'm still in debates with people about Neon Demon. Just like,
oh yeah,
and it's fine. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't have to like Neon Demon, but it's, you know, it's just like some people, like, it depends on what the material is. I think it just always comes down to that, and how people can connect with it.
Oh, where it's set in, you know,
right.
Because, like, for example, Valhalla is a period piece, and not everyone's that's gonna kill some of your audience right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that it's definitely not too far off to say that he thrives, like, in LA, when his set is, you know, the seedy underbelly of Los Angeles, which is where this new show takes place, right?
I'm glad he's back.
Yes.
I'm glad he's back. But I loved Thailand. I mean, Only God Forgives is so good.
That's might be his most underappreciated piece of cinema.
It's so good. And at first, I mean, I do have to admit, because Drive was the first film that I had seen of his when it came out. Like most people, I anticipated Only God Forgives to be similar to Drive, because he was back with Ryan. The trailer, like, for sure, neon hinged, everything was just like, oh great, this is going to be amazing. Yeah. And it is amazing. But when I watched it, especially, I think I was 17 at the time when it came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I remember, like, it came out at the same, like, that Comic-Con weekend.
Yes, it did. Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I'm going right after I'm done here. So I went, and I saw it at that Reading Cinemas that was
right there in Gaslamp.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I was just like, what is this? You know, I didn't get it. You know, I didn't, because it was nothing like Drive. But that's perfectly fine, you know, because it's so good. Like, after, like, it came out on Blu-ray, I picked it up, I watched it a couple times, you know, I tried to, like, pick up different perspectives from these characters. I try to understand what, like, these characters were going through, because ultimately, like, when you think of Refn's work, you just see, externally, you just see violence. You know, you see a lot of, you could say that most of his films are misogynistic. He's everybody's terrible, you know. So these aren't